You know, adding decimals, it can be a little, well, dry for our students, right? But what if we could take those worksheets and turn them into something more like a treasure hunt? Today, we're going to dig into a simple game that does exactly that, turning decimal practice into a real classroom adventure.
So here's the big question, one that every math teacher faces. How do we get our students to go beyond just finding the right answer? How do we get them to actually talk about their thinking and explain how they figured it out?
So here's our game plan. We'll start with why decimals can be so tricky. Then we'll meet the game itself, decimal trails, and learn how to play. From there, we'll see what that awesome math talk looks like in action, and we'll wrap up with some tips to get this going in your own classroom. Okay, first things first, let's talk about the real challenge here. For a lot of students, decimals just feel abstract. They're just numbers after a dot on a page, and it's hard for them to feel connected to anything real. And we all know it, just piling on more worksheets doesn't usually build that deep, lasting understanding. What our kids really need is a way to see these numbers, to play with them, and to build strategies in a way that actually feels meaningful and maybe even a little fun.
And that leads us right to this really cool solution, a game called Decimal Trails. And I just love this description. It's part math puzzle, part treasure hunt. How great is that?
So, the idea is actually pretty simple, but it's really powerful. Students are literally hunting for hidden paths inside a grid full of numbers. And with every single move, they've got to think critically. Which numbers can I put together? How do I plan my path to hit that target number exactly? It totally turns calculation into a quest. So how does it actually work? Let's walk through the rules of the trail. You're going to see it's so brilliantly simple to get this started. The setup? Oh, it's a teacher's dream. It's for 2 to 4 players, and literally all you need is the worksheet. The first player to find 3 correct paths, well, they're the winner. It is the definition of a low-prep, high-engagement activity. Okay, the whole game comes down to just 4 simple rules. 1. You start on any light-colored square. 2. You draw a path through at least 3 numbers. 3. You add them up. And 4. Your final total has to perfectly match the number in that dark border square where your path ends. That's it. And the key rules of the road are really simple. You have to stick to horizontal or vertical moves, no diagonals allowed, and you can't backtrack or reuse a square. This is great because it keeps the focus on the math, not on kids arguing about the rules. Okay, this is my absolute favorite part. The real magic of this game isn't just about getting the right answer. It is all about the incredible math conversations it starts. This is what shifts the classroom culture from a simple, I'm done, to, hey, let me show you how I figured this out.
I mean, just picture this in your classroom. A student doesn't just say they found one. Instead, they kick off the conversation by explaining why it works, laying out their addition step by step. They're not just giving you an answer, they're presenting their evidence.
And then their partner, they don't just nod and say, cool, they actually engage. They ask for more explanation, and even better, they share their own thinking. They're noticing compatible numbers on their own and connecting their strategy to what their partner just said. It's amazing. And this right here, is where it gets to that next level. The first student doesn't just repeat the numbers, they explain their strategy. They were hunting for friendly numbers that make a whole number first. This is where you see that real mathematical reasoning just come to life. And as the teacher, you can help make this happen. These Math Talk sentence starters are fantastic. Prompts like, I chose these decimals because, or I noticed that. They're basically little tools that help students build the habit of talking and thinking like a real mathematician. All right, so you're probably getting excited to try this out. Let's talk about some really practical tips for bringing decimal trails into your classroom tomorrow. The best part about a game like this is just how flexible it is. It's not some rigid, complicated lesson plan. You can use it in your math centers as a quick warm-up, for those early finishers, or heck, even send it home for a fun family activity. It can fit into pretty much any corner of your math block. And it is so easy to differentiate. For students who need a bit more support, you can use simpler game boards with just tenths. And to challenge your high flyers, ask them to find trails that add up to 2.0. You can even turn it into a timed race or let them use calculators to check their work. And really, that brings us right back to the ultimate goal here. The game isn't just about finding the path. It's a tool, a vehicle for getting students to ask themselves and each other this exact question. It's all about uncovering the why behind the what. turning a simple, fun game into a total launchpad for deep mathematical thinking.